the identity trap. Who you think you are might be the thing that's actually holding you back. What up, it's Dalaney Davis, and in this episode, I want to talk about the dangers of over-identifying with labels and roles in our life, how to break free from outdated labels, identities, and concepts, and embrace the fluidity in multiple parts that you are, and a practical framework for discovering and evolving into your true self, that ideal self, that future self, who you're truly here to be. Now, identity is one of the most powerful forces in the human condition, second only to our environment, which is another episode to talk about. But identity is the most powerful force in the human condition. And when I was studying psychology at university, I fell in love with this topic. This topic in the psychology world is called discourse psychology. And this is what I wanted to do my master's and PhD in, but my university wouldn't fund it because they only funded drug-related studies. How effed up is that? But discourse psychology is the study of how our culture, our society, our religions, our parents, our upbringings, our identity, everything comes together to form who we are. And it is amazing when you really sit and think about that everything that you identify as and who you are was labeled or created or given to you by someone else, including your name, right? So who are you really without being created by other people? That's why personal transformation, that's why personal growth needs to be with other human beings. We can't do it on our own in a book or listening to podcasts. We need to create in conversations with other people who we are, who we're becoming, what we're doing, what we're thinking, what we're changing, what we're shifting, and really get that reprogramming and rewiring done with other people. Now, shifting back to the dangers of over-identifying with an identity or a single identity. Now, when I was growing up, I was a young athlete, right? I was a top swimmer, one of the top in New Zealand for junior swimming. I was a professional athlete from the age of 8 years old to 14 years old. And all I did was swim and train. And I was created by my family, by my friends, by my schools, by everyone. Dalaney was the swimmer, the athlete. And at 14 years old, at a national tournament, I came second in everything. And I adopted a bit of a Ricky Bobby mindset, if you ain't first, you're last. And because of that, I was devastated. I came second in everything and I was devastated. I lost that identity of a winner, of an athlete, of a champion. And I quit. I quit everything. And that's when, without me knowing it at the time, the spirals of depression, drugs, alcohol abuse, and losing myself happened. Because I had over-identified with the athlete. And I was never recreated by anyone in my life as something else. I never decided to pursue academia or pursue another sport or pursue something else. I just fell into this void. And this led me down, the dark path, the hero's journey. But I come out on the other side knowing now that that is what happened, is I'd over-identified with those identities. And this can come in such small, minute ways, and it can ripple and roll and get out of control very easily with just small identities, particularly when it comes to neurodiversity or other things going on. Because not only did I then identify or get lost, I then attached to this identity that I was depressed. And what do depressed people do? They sleep, they do drugs, they drink too much, they hang out with the wrong people, and my life was headed down that wrong path. So there's a real danger in over-identifying with these beliefs, with these labels of identity that other people create. So what breaks my heart with the Gen Zs is Gen Zs are so creative and so individualized, but with that comes this obsession with identification. They're almost lost in their void because they're trying to create all of them with these new identities, and then they're not quite fitting in because they're all these weird, unique identities. So I really want to implore you to just stop and think about some of the identities you may be holding on to, based on your religion, your culture, your upbringing, things your parents said, a teacher said, a peer said, whatever it might be that are no longer serving you, right? Now, how we break free from these is this first epiphany that everything is created by other people. You never created these labels. They're all created by other people. The other thing is realizing that many of these identities in reality are a spectrum, right? They're not black and white, left or right, yes or no, you're this, you're that. It's really realizing and breaking free that, oh, maybe I'm just a little bit depressed, or I'm just a little bit not athletic, rather than this full spectrum, I'm not this, I am that. When we start getting into always and never territory, that's when we know we've uncovered a core belief. So if you say, oh, I'm never going to win, I'm never going to be good at business, I'm never going to be healthy, I'm never going to find the love of my life, or I always lose my money, that's when you know you've identified a core belief or a core identity that is old and holding you back. Step 1, identify. Step 3, we must create a new identity. Who do you want to become? Because this is really how reality is created. Stepping backwards from that identity then helps form and articulate various different emotions and beliefs and thoughts and decisions and actions. Because ultimately, this is how our reality is created in that order. If we reverse engineer it, it's so obvious. If we look at this model of reality creation, if you're on video, you're looking at it now. If you're just listening to the audio, go find a video so you can see the model. But it all starts here. Think about something you want to achieve. Let's just go with a successful 7-figure entrepreneur, okay? What are the actions then that someone took in order to achieve that result, right? They created something of value, they built a distribution channel, they sold it, they marketed, they made money, here they are. What are the decisions they made to get there? Decision always comes before an action. What are the thoughts they had? Probably a few ideas on those decisions they could take to then take those actions to then create those results. What are the emotions they felt? They probably felt confident, they probably felt clear, they probably felt confusion, and then clarity, and confusion and clarity, which is the entrepreneurial journey. What are the beliefs they had? I must do this. I always succeed. I am an entrepreneur. That identity level as well. And we won't dive into consciousness. Again, that's another podcast for another day. That's a big topic. But we can see here that our identity is the pillar at this point. I am an entrepreneur. What does an entrepreneur believe? That I'll never make any money working with someone else. That I want to add value and have massive impact. What are the emotions they feel? They feel compelled. They feel moved. They feel passionate. What are the thoughts they have? They have ideas, they have money-making ideas, they have marketing ideas, they have distribution ideas. What are the thoughts they have? I can, I must, I should. Decisions, action, result. This is the core. And that's why in all our programs, in every conversations we have with entrepreneurs and everyone's in our seminars and events and programs, we always ask is, who do you want to become? Who do you want to be? Because this is the leverage that you need in your psychological makeup, that psychological blueprint of who you are to break the pattern of who you are and step into that ideal future vision of yourself and who you're becoming, is identify who you want to become. So who do you want to be? Choose one area of life, right? Could be your career, your vocation, as an entrepreneur. Could be your health. Could be your wealth. Could be your relationships, your friends, your family. Could be fun, recreation. Could be working less, for goodness sake. What is one area of life you want to work on? Choose a new identity, right? I'm going to be jacked as fuck, right? I'm going to be wealthy beyond, I'm going to be the wealthiest person in my family. I'm going to be a 7-figure entrepreneur. I'm going to find the love of my life. I'm going to start a family. I'm going to have more fun. I'm going to be the life of the party. What is that identity that you want to step into? Now, just as a little thought experiment, what would someone who has achieved this and has this identity, what would they believe? Right? I believe that being fit is fun. You know? I believe that it's easy. I believe that making money is easy. I believe that if I do the things I love, I'll find the ones I love. What is a belief that someone who has achieved this and is this identity believe? What is then the probable reoccurring thoughts and emotions they have? They probably feel joy. They probably feel quite light. So even now, when it comes to emotion, is sit with achieving that. Sit with being that 7-figure entrepreneur. How does that feel? It feels quite relaxing. It feels quite calm. Okay, what would someone who feels this do and think? And then start stepping out and creating those actions. Rather than starting with this little small to-do list, do, hack, tactic, coming from that old paradigm, that old identity, those old beliefs, you won't get there. This is why you probably feel that invisible barrier. Like you know what you want, but you can't quite get there because you're coming at it from that old identity. I always used to have this invisible block around money. I always used to want to be a millionaire, want to make lots of money, but then I'd always get to a point and then just take my foot off the gas. I'd always make a certain amount of money, see it in my bank account, feel amazing, go buy some stuff, invest it, and then I'd take my foot off the pedal. And it wasn't until I realized that I actually had an old identity running the show. That old identity of trying to prove to other people that I was successful, trying to not be poor, which was an away from identity, rather than a desire-based identity of being a contribution, of adding value, which then flips the paradigm of the identity, changing the beliefs, the emotions and thoughts, and enabling me to be a millionaire by 31. Because I actually shifted and identified that old identity, those old beliefs, that old pattern, and created a new one in who I wanted to be, which is a successful, scalable, spacious, 7-figure entrepreneur. Specificity is key. So we must identify that identity that we currently are that's holding us back, maybe a few extra exercises on what is my old limiting beliefs, these old patterns holding me back, to really ground into who that is. Then create that new identity, who you want to become, with specificity, and do that reality creation process. What are the beliefs I need to believe in order to be this? What are the reoccurring thoughts I'll have? What are the emotions? What are the decisions? What are the actions? And what are the results I will achieve? Identify and step in and really clearly specify this and create this and revisit this daily until it is your reality. And you'll see within 9 months, this will become your reality. That's how long it usually takes, about 9 months to really step into a new identity. So choose an area of life, your wealth, your health, your business, your relationships, your friends, your family, and go to work, identifying those old identities and stepping into new ones. Because this is critical in how you can actually elevate and create change. Because see, in yourself, in your mind, in that internal psychology, why this identity is the second most powerful form in the psychological condition of humans, is your inner mind is almost like a courtroom. And you are not the speaker in the courtroom. You are actually the listener. Don't trust all your thoughts. They're not actually yours. They're borrowed from other things, from other people, from other beliefs. Inside your mind, you are in fact the listener. You are the judge in the courtroom. And the defendant is the inner critic. These old identities, these old beliefs, these old patterns that are trying to hold you back and keep you where you are because it feels safer. It's got a stronger neurological connection. It's got so much evidence. It's got so much power that it wins every court battle because it's the loudest voice in the room. It's got the most evidence. And then over here, you've got that new identity, that one you're stepping into, that one you want to become, that successful, spacious, 7-figure entrepreneur, that jacked version of yourself, that healthy, fit, sexy, love of your life, amazing family, and lots of fun, whatever it is, that new identity over there with a little tiny stack of evidence for that one time you said yes. And every time you have an idea, it loses the court case because the inner critic always wins. It's got so much evidence. So this is why that final piece of that reality creation piece on creating that new identity of action is the most critical. Because you need to build more evidence in the courtroom that is your mind that you are getting closer and becoming this new identity. You have to trust that inner whisper, that little tiny voice that says, yeah, I can do that. Oh yeah, I can go for a walk. Oh yeah, I can do one more set. I can do one more rep. I can do one more phone call. I can go one more date, whatever it might be. We must practice and build that muscle to really step into that new identity. And trust the process that there's going to be times when the old version wins a court case now and then. There's going to be times when you fall off your habits, fall off your discipline. But you just got to forgive yourself. Don't fall into a shame spiral. Pick yourself back up and figure out how you can collect more evidence for this new version you're becoming. How you can take some aligned action for this version that who are you becoming. And this is where one of our core one-liners is, how you do anything is how you do everything really comes into play. Because how a successful, spacious, 7-figure entrepreneur does anything is how they do everything. How a successful 7-figure entrepreneur looks at their health, looks at the importance of friendships and networking, relationships, looks at their family, looks at their finances, all oozes from that core identity. So it's super critical to really identify with that true self you want to become and make any pathway to get there. Take action, make evidence for your future self to succeed. And one final thing I really want to talk about, which is because identity is such a powerful force in the human condition, we sometimes get very linear with it. We get very black and white, this or that, left or right, introverted, extroverted. But the truth is we are many parts. We are full embodiment of at least 12 different parts of you. If you go into the 12 archetypes, there's more insights on this, and I'll do an episode diving into the archetypes. But know that you are parts, right? And you get to create each and every part. You don't need to sacrifice this or that to become that, because that's the core identity. Don't fall victim to an entrepreneur means hustling, not looking after yourself, not being healthy, not, being broke because you're starting a startup. Like, don't fall for the privy and the default of many of these identities. Create and refine each element of it yourself. Really be specific with it. I particularly had this when I first started. I've started many businesses, and I always used to fall into that identity of broke startup founder. And it wasn't until I was really with Bryony and she would really broke through a lot of this money mindset blocks with me and realized that, I'm not a broke startup founder. I'm a very successful startup founder, and I've got plenty of money. So don't fall privy to the default identities that society presents you. You are whole and you are multiple parts, and you get to create your own unique discourse, your own unique archetype in everything you do. So choose your parts wisely. Focus on one area of your life at a time to evolve. Don't feel like you need to drastically overhaul everything. Just choose one. If you're feeling a bit unmotivated and a bit cloudy right now, you're losing touch with your vision. I know I had a bit of an identity crisis with all AI coming out and the thought leadership industry and all that things. But if you're in that space, start with your health. Really prioritize creating a new powerful identity to elevate yourself and evolve to a new level. If you've got a bit of momentum, you've got a bit of clarity, and your business is really working, now it's time to probably expand and balance out and work on your fun or your relationships to really create a bit more balance. Because when you get too pigeonholed and business is working, business is successful, other areas of life fall at the wayside. And then eventually business stuff actually starts crumbling because you're completely out of balance and out of kilter, and your identity is getting dissolved and old ones aren't really stable. So if business is booming, look to develop friendships, develop health, develop other areas of your life to really start expanding. Choose an area where you're really strong at and you want to elevate in and really double down on that one. And then choose an area that's really shit and look at those always or never beliefs that are holding you back and how you can really start elevating and stepping to that new identity. One of the most fun things you can do as well is start introducing yourself as this new identity. Really start telling people and asking partners and friends to start creating you as this identity, because it's what you're stepping into, right? If you've done that first leap into entrepreneurship, a lot of those first friends are kind of like, that's a bit risky. I wouldn't do that, because they don't have that identity. You need to be around other people with that identity you want to become, because they'll go, yeah, heck yeah, you're an entrepreneur, keep going. This is awesome. Try this, do that. So when you're creating these new identities, it's critical that you get around other people who are these identities that you want to become, because you are truly the 5 people you hang out with the most. They will define who you are. So when you're stepping into these new identities, you need to request to friends and family that they define you as this. And if they don't, correct them very quickly. And also hang out with people who are these identities you're stepping into. The top 3, environment, identity. Number 3 is people, the people you're around, right? Those influence you the most. So really, don't fall privy to the identity trap. Don't fall privy to what society has created you as, or what a past event or traumatic event has positioned you as in this life. You get to redefine and create whoever you want to be. And it is critical that you identify who you once were in that old identity, that negative identity that is holding you back. Maybe do a little reflection on some of those core beliefs that are around that. And the way to identify a core belief is just ask or listen here and just write down the first thing that comes to your mind, right? Like money is, health is, business is, relationships are, friends are, family are, fun is. Whatever the first thought that came to your mind is your core belief. Is it positive? Great, good work. Is it negative? Let's do some work on that area. Now identify that new identity you want to have in this area that's not bueno, not very good, not very nice. Looking at the reality creation framework, what is a core belief that new identity would have? What is the emotions they feel day to day? They feel ease, they feel grace, it feels easy, it feels fun. What is the reoccurring thoughts they have? What is the reoccurring decisions they make, actions they take, and results they've achieved? To sum all of that up, it's really about, say, meditating on the top of the hill, connecting with that vision, that identity on who you want to become, that emotional state, making a plan as you walk down the hill, those thoughts, those decisions, and then we get to the bottom of the hill, take action. Because remember, we must collect evidence for that future self, that new self we are becoming. Love your work, D.